We are live. We are live. We are live.
That was a joke, sorry. I love it.
Welcome to another episode. Was it 21? 21? Episode 21 of Share My Queendom. And tonight's episode is about, well, the title is, as you can see on the screen, I've wanted to be a husband since I was a little boy, said no man ever. This kind of shook a couple people up. Like, actually, some guys were like, that's true, actually. But then I had some guy in my DMs like, I've always wanted to be a husband. I'm like, all right. You know, no one, any statement you make, you can never say everyone, you know.
That guy's probably pitching for a spot, to be fair. Well,
well, yeah. So, yeah, welcome. Also to those who will be watching on the replay, because I know there's a lot of people watching football right now. I 100% know that Festus's eye will be on the football as we speak.
Nah, you know what it is, yeah? I've come upstairs. That's how serious I'm taking it.
Have you? Oh, because you know yourself. I'm glad to
yeah. Like, I'm realistic. You can be talking and I'll be like this.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, who do we have in the room? We have in the right, actually, I don't know what it looks like on everyone's screen, but we have Ayce.
What's happening?
Hello to the people.
Hi, everyone. How you doing? I'm Ayce, as just been said.
We have Craig.
What's good, people? What's going on? My name's Craig. I'm married.
I'll stay out my DMs.
You just gotta put it out there like that, isn't it?
Yeah. And we also have Effs.
Hola.
So, just to reiterate what Share My Queendom is about, my queendom is literally my world, and every week I have conversations with people that are in my world, in my circle. So everyone that you see each week are friends of mine, they're in my circle, we're associates, they're in, you know, my people. So yeah, we've had a few people send in a few questions, which I think are really interesting. I'm glad other people sent them in so I can't get in trouble, because I don't need no DMs from wives or any WhatsApp to say, why did you ask that? It wasn't me. Oh gosh. So anyway, everyone here is married. Ayce, I've known for a long time, through musical stuff. We work together on, you know, he does a lot of projects, very creative guy. And I've worked on some of the projects that he's created. Effs, we go to the same church. We also sing in a group together. He's just like a great guy to have in your life.
I'm maybe a great guy.
I was just thinking, right, my intro better be good.
No, this is my serious homie, like in my tight circle. No joke. Hello, Darren only said hi so he could show his body, his naked body on the screen.
Yeah, but I feel like he needs to change that.
Well, listen, winter's coming in, so who's got the last laugh now, man?
Yeah, 2020 version, man.
And also, it's Craig. Craig, I've known. How did I meet you? I think I met you through. We have mutual friends.
Mutual friends and social circles. This kind of thing. That. And I'm a great guy. Yeah, do that stuff as well. Yeah, you know, add that in. Yeah, thank you.
He's a great guy. You know, every morning I see some posts about fitness training. He's all into all of that good stuff, living a healthy life and all of that. So yeah, we've got some good people. So I want to get in to the first question. That's not quite prepared on my screen, but it will be in 2 seconds. So, what is your earliest memory of marriage? Like, what do you think marriage was when you was a child? What do you remember about it? Ayce.
Let's come to me first. All these questions are going to catch me off guard, you know, because I've never really overthought marriage.
No, and I didn't prep. Usually I do a little prep, but I thought, no, I want raw answers.
Yeah, because I was trying to get that little inside intel, because I was like, what is going to... What?
Effs has no idea what's going on.
All right, my earliest memory of marriage, in just terms of a thought process, would just be like, I guess for me, it's just how I saw it going. Get to a certain age, you're out of the house, you've done what you need to do as like a teen or whatever, moving into your 20s, you find a woman that fits the bill and get married. I guess.
Where did you learn that though?
I mean, just from like my parents' life. For me, life was that's kind of what I saw, because I grew up in church and stuff like that, in those kind of environments. So it wasn't uncommon to see like lots of married couples and stuff. Like that really was a norm for me. It's only when you kind of branch out of that environment that you realize that's actually not as much a norm, or you start to understand what relationship really is, and you start to look back and be like, right, is that what was going on, etc., etc. But in terms of my earliest memory, that for me, that's just the way I guess things went, innit?
Okay. What about you?
To be honest, I didn't think... I've always known about marriage, obviously coming from the same sort of background as Ayce does, but I just never thought I would get married. I didn't think, like I've always wanted to be in a relationship, or I've always sort of tried to be in relationships, or try like long term, whatever. But marriage just, obviously, as I got older, I just thought marriage wasn't something that I was ever going to experience. And I was, to be honest, when I met my wife, the first conversation we ever had was a conversation about how I thought that I was just supposed to be single, and that was just my portion. Like I was happy with myself, happy on my own, like didn't like my own company, was quite comfortable, like just being who I was and doing what I wanted to do.
What about the people around you? Like when you were young, were there lots of married people around you, or? Well,
no.
Like Ayce was saying, you know, I guess in the church environment, there's lots of weddings and stuff, so you're pretty aware of, you know, this is what you do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of it. Obviously, my auntie had a husband. Other people in the church, women and men in the church, were married, but I don't know. It was never something I thought like, oh, that's what I want, or that's what I'm going to do. At a young age, it just never was that.
What about you? I want to come on to some more of where you'll probably end up going into. What about you, Craig? What's your earliest?
I'd say for me, it was more my grandparents. My grandparents were the only kind of real example. I was just saying before we kind of went live that I can't really think of any real examples that I had growing up of marriage and what made me want to get into it. But my grandparents were the first kind of union that I saw that were properly married. Like, I mean, like going to church and signing papers. Because I always had aunties and uncles who were together for like 25 years and 30 years and all this stuff. And I used to always kind of wonder to myself, why have my cousins got different surnames and stuff like that? And that sort of thing used to kind of play to me. And I'd be like, that's just so weird. Like, or I would assume that they were married. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They've just been together for so long. So yeah, so that was one of the main things. And I think obviously me being involved in my aunt's wedding, and it's funny, the two real examples that I've got of weddings are people that are still together, because let's be real, marriage broke down often, isn't it? Like, let's just keep it 100. So yeah, so those are like the two kind of marriages that stand out to me. But I wouldn't say that, oh, that was conscious of my mind, and yeah, I just wanted to go school, come home, and just be a married man one day. Like, nah, it weren't that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So I think a church background has a big influence, I guess, because of all the weddings and grandparents. That's the same for me, actually. My grandparents, they were the only married example I really grew up with. and they stayed married forever, literally till the end. So.
Is you getting like married? Is that part of the plan? Was that always part of the plan? Because we've got this thing about women that it's just cooked up in their mind, and that's just what they always wanted from when they were young, dream about the dress and all that. Is that real?
Yeah, to be fair, you know what? I can't speak for everyone, because there are some women who have no intentions of getting married. Like, they don't see that. And also, I know couples. I have a cousin who's been with her partner, I don't even know, they're probably coming up to nearly 20 years. They're not married, got 2 kids. They're like, what's the point? We're not going nowhere. That's how they see it. They don't see why they should.
That's nuts, though. Don't you think that's weird?
I mean, I would like them to. I would, but they don't want to. And they're very happy. And I'm just
it's just like not putting up. I don't know. It's weird.
What would the difference be if you're together with someone for 16 years and then you're not married? Obviously, you've got children, stable home, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
What would putting a full stop at the end of your sentence, though, isn't it? Like that's how the thing's supposed to run. Like you're doing everything and practicing everything anyway, and especially if you've got children. Not to be critical, I'm not trying to gun your family members or nothing like that. But this is what I'm saying. I think a lot of it has got to be about setting an example so that there are more men that do grow up wanting to, because a lot of people just not trying to say just find themselves. I'm not trying to just do man married on that. Just like find yourself in that position, or you just kind of fall into it. There's not enough examples around. That's what I'm saying. I was racking my brain trying to think of examples. So that union is a great example, but why not put the full stop at the end of the sentence?
But I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I think the example that's being set, or the example that's being set really is a stable home, like a mum and a dad, kids, they're looking after, he's providing whatever, and there's a lot of things that within that relationship that, as long as the relationship is good and it's been looked after and cultivated, then it's going to show great examples of that stuff anyway. Like I 100% agree with marriage. I'm married, but sometimes I don't understand why, if people have basically been walking in it for, I know a lady I work with, 26 years. She's been with her partner. They're not married. They've got 6 kids. Like, obviously they're getting married now, but it's like, what difference? Obviously, I know from a biblical standpoint and all that sort of thing, but realistically, like, she wants to get married because she's always wanted to get married. But he's like, we're
see, that's where I still think that the man's got to step up to the plate, isn't it? Like 26
but isn't he
years,
stepping up anyway?
She's used her womb 6 times. 6 times, a lot of times, and she just wants to get married. Like, registry office, at least get her some.
Yeah. I mean, everyone would share the same name, especially if you have children. Unit. That would be my thing. That would be one of my arguments.
Yeah, but you can go by law a deed poll and change your name. So
or you can get married.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So is it about the name? So what are we talking about? I'm saying, what are we saying? Are we saying that we need to get married because we need to have the same name and all these other things? Like, do you know what I mean?
You know what it is? It's the ultimate show of commitment and intention. That's what it is. I intend to spend the rest of my life with you. So here's my commitment to show you that. Or if you've always wanted this wedding, this day, cool. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. I want to give you that. And if you don't, I think there's more questions posed if you don't than if you don't know.
Really?
You know what?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And I don't mean it's not. I'm not trying to say it's not okay. Because listen, if 26 years, 6 kids and all that, do your thing, innit? Who am I? I can't tell you now.
You know what? So I've always likened it to this, right? If you've got like a record deal or a management deal, right? A lot of people get into those situations where it's like, all right, cool, Craig, you're managing me or whatever, but we don't make it official. We don't sign that. I mean, we just got like a working relationship and all that kind of stuff. As an artist, I know that, or even as a manager, at any point in time, we've got nothing signed. I can duck out and do the dirty.
But so it's
because even if 20 years, we could be boys, like all of that. At any point, the only thing that kind of, and I know this is kind of flawed because marriage doesn't necessarily work in the same way, but it's the only thing I can kind of liken it to.
Like
you're legitimizing the situation, because as soon as you've signed on the dotted line, there's a level of obligation, a level of kind of responsibility you have to each other that you didn't have before. It don't matter even if you were like had a working relationship where gigs were coming, Craig was taking his 20%, all good. It don't matter. At any point in time, I could go off and do the dirty. Do you know what I mean? And like sign with another management or do something completely different. Then Craig couldn't do anything about it. Right now, for me, when you sign that, which is why you pop the champagne and all that, because you've officialized and legitimized the relationship. And you know what? No one's really, all being well, going to pull out that contract, because contracts are really for when things go wrong. Do you know what I mean? But they all legitimize the relationship to say, okay, cool, I'm an artist and Craig's my manager. And I feel like it's the same with marriage. I think there's nothing to say that you can't be in a kind of relationship for 20 years and everything be fine, you have kids and all that kind of thing. But it's like you kind of haven't. I'm scared to say it because like I'd like to think I'm quite like forward thinking, progressive thinking, and I know that marriage.
No, just make sure you see his at and all that. Yeah, get at him. Yeah. If he says something bad, get at him straight and direct.
To send me abuse, but I feel like it does put a level of legitimacy on what you are doing.
I hear that. I think to count, like as a counter argument, to play devil's advocate, a marriage, the marriage itself, or whatever we're saying, like if what you're saying is that it legitimizes it and that like you liken it to a record label, just because I'm married doesn't mean I can't walk away. People walk away from their marriages all the time. Like that doesn't mean that because you signed it doesn't mean that there might be obligations you might have to lose.
You try walking away from a management deal, right? For the next 15-20 years, you got to still give that guy 20% plus your new manager.
Yeah, but right, okay, cool. Obviously, as
these record deals sound like marriage. Yeah,
no, I'm saying it basically it kind of is.
And that's why you think twice, and you think twice before you sign it in the first place, and then when you're looking to do the dirty and run off, you think, you know what, is it worth me giving away 40%?
But I think marriage, because obviously marriage, if you sign a marriage certificate, you're married legally in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of God. It's a union. So what then is yours and what's hers, if you haven't signed a prenuptial, comes together and it's one. But if what we're saying is that's a reason to not walk away, like, oh, I'm going to get married, I'm going to sign it, but if I leave, I'm going to lose something, so I want to stay, then you shouldn't be in that relationship anyway. Like I 100% agree with marriage. I'm married, and I think my reasons for it is to like as a sign of to show everyone this is my intention, this is what I want to do, this is what I believe God has put us together, and they're the reasons. Like if I'm not doing it for those reasons, if it's anything else like material or stress or whatever the case may be, then I'm just going to be with you for 26 years.
Have 6 question though, bro. What reason other is there?
No, but that's what I'm saying. But obviously, when I pose the question, it's a bit loaded in a sense, just to see what everyone thought about why get married.
I think times have changed, though. I think you used to giving those examples about people staying in relationships for like 25 years, no marriage and all of that. For one, whilst I listen, if they're happy, cool. Like, who am I to criticize and all that? But if I had a daughter, it's not something that I would teach her to give 25 years commitment. I don't get nothing back in terms of that full commitment going back the other way. Do you understand what I mean? And I think now, when in the sort of day and age that we are, where I don't want to kind of say, because I just feel like I'm just dissing this person. Whose friend is it? I'm sorry. But in the day and age that we are now, I don't think there's many women out there who are willing to do it. No, I'm not giving you 25 years of full commitment and not getting back what I want out of this.
Yeah, but what I don't think it's gonna happen. Getting back, what do you mean? So
I think you stated in one of them that someone wanted to get married. All she's wanted to do is get married.
They get married. They get married. Yeah, but
they are getting married.
You said what you said was she's been giving him all these years of commitment and he's not giving anything back. I don't necessarily think that's the case. Like, I don't think you can say someone.
Not to say not giving anything back. Listen, they've done the same time. I'm trying to, like, they're cold D's, isn't it? They've done the same time. But I'm just saying in terms of the full commitment. And whilst that's, listen, I know a woman can ask a man to marry and all that, but it's a man's duty to marry his woman, isn't it? If that's what it is.
I agree.
In my opinion, I'm a bit caveman. Apologies.
Are we saying then that if you're not married, you're not fully committed?
No,
100%. It's a harsh reality.
Until you're married,
99% is great for a lot of people, but
everyone who's engaged doesn't care.
Listen, when I was younger, that was my aim, you know, just to listen. I want to get in a relationship, be happy, just get engaged, and just be there in it. Because I don't need to really get married in it. Just be there, just to kind of show the commitment. But the real thing is, and it's harsh reality, to give 100% commitment is to be married in that relationship. 99% is great for most people, don't get me wrong, but going all the way is going all the way, isn't it?
Yeah. I can't even disagree with, like, even if I tried to be all kind of progressive and 2020, I can't disagree with that. And even with what you said, I got married as the greatest show of commitment to my wife and everyone else and all that kind of stuff. So the only question is, why would you stop before that? If you really loved your wife to that extent, why would you stop before that show of the greatest commitment and not do it? I think that's more the question than why.
That's what I'm saying. It makes it more interesting from the other side to ask that question. It's almost like, why wouldn't you? Because I know a lot of people, it's like finances, for example, play a big part. I don't really want to get married because I maybe can't afford to do it in the way in which I would like to kind of do. But still, you can. There are other ways that union can be celebrated or at least made official. And there are a lot of people who say, "Listen, I don't really like the paperwork." But it's mad because there's more people willing to tattoo someone's name on their body than to get married.
Wow. Okay, so obviously, let's use this for example. So you're not necessarily saying the marriage certificate per se. You're saying to say that we're married, like a traditional engagement or whatever, is still a marriage in some cultures. So that's still good enough. Even if we haven't signed anything, it's still like, okay, cool, I've said I'm committed to you and you're committed to me. So we're committed.
It's declaring in front of people, in front of God, if you're religious, that this is who I'm with, this is my intention, and this is what it is. And what you were saying before, Ayce, about the like the record example that you kind of gave, it is that because listen, through marriage, as you guys will all know, you go through some crap, innit? And more time if you weren't married.
Who's
trying to say you guys would question away, but someone might walk away, innit?
Yeah. I'm really great.
It requires more commitment to stay when there's no contract and there's nothing to lose except the love.
What do you think to that?
I think that's not a married person.
No, but I'm saying. So, do you think then that's a nonsense?
You know what it is. I'll be real. That sounded dope, and it did. Yeah. But in reality, it's a load of bull. No disrespect.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you could. Basically, the reason I feel like this because like I think too many people. I agree with marriage. I said it again. I'll say it again. Just so I don't get slated in the comments. He's married. He's chatting. He's not good. No, but what I'm saying is I know a lot of people that are in 100% committed relationships. Like, and neither the woman or the guy wants to get married, but they're thriving in their relationships. They do, like, do you know what I mean? It's great for them. They've been together for years. I know other people that have got married after 3 years and divorced after 6. And so I don't think we can rubbish. Okay, cool. You're not married, but you're still 100% committed to that person. I think marriage is maybe the ultimate sign of commitment to God and to your partner, if that's what you both believe in and it means something.
Yeah, of course. If we're talking about something two people don't believe in, then listen, it don't make no sense. I kind of get that. But I've never heard of two people remaining in marriage because they're scared of the paperwork. Do you understand what I mean? Because people separate, and I get that people will separate. But the example that was given about people stay for love and all of that, it just.
I think what you said.
It's also fear of not fear of missing out. There's another saying, but that there might be something better. It's like once you've done marriage, it's like now you're off. And that was actually one of the questions someone did ask about. But no, I'm going to come back to that one. Wait, I've got another question. Because we won't get to it. When did you know you wanted to get married? Actually, I want to answer it in this way. It's because of conversations I've had and different men have said things, that sometimes a man decides in himself he wants to get married. I feel like I'm ready now. Then goes to look for that woman to be his wife. Or a man's just in a relationship and looks at her and says, actually, she could be my wife. And then he decides to get married to her. What was it for you guys?
I'll let one of you guys kick off.
Okay, for me, it was, to be honest, I touched on it before. So when I first met my wife, I had 100% decided that I was going to be a singleton, and I was 1,000% committed and in on that. That was my energy. I don't care about nothing. I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Then once I met her, on the fact, it's a bit cliche, but once we had that conversation, she said something to me that was so basic, like anyone could have said it, but the way she said it, and when I looked at her, how much she meant it, there was like a care that I saw in her, like a genuine like concern for people, and it's something that I have. And when I saw that in her, I was like, right, I could tell by looking at her. It sounds so weird, but I could tell by looking at her eyes that she really meant it. So I was like, bro, what else do you have that I want to see in somebody that I would date or whatever? And it's like, bro, like then after a week of like talking and doing this like that, one thing after the other, next thing. I remember I was in Manchester, I was walking and she said something on the phone and I was like, in my head, I knew like I'm getting married to this woman. As much as I thought I didn't want to be with anyone, I felt like, do you know what I mean? As much as I felt like, I was like, raw, like this.
I should have made you go last, man. I should have made you go last.
Yeah. Sorry.
You know, you got to remix your words. I got to remix your words.
Let's just put a headline in that, boy. Back up.
But literally, and then, yeah, like short while after that, I didn't waste any time. I was like, we need to get engaged. Like we had a little couple conversations. Oh, let's be friends. And I was like, listen, I've got enough friends. I don't need any more friends. Like I'm looking at you as if, you see what I'm saying? What I said before, like I'm changing my mind about stuff. So, and then, yeah, it worked out. So for me, it wasn't until I met the person, had a conversation, and then realized, whoa, actually, what I thought I knew and what I thought God's plan was for me is completely different. But it didn't really take much to turn my head around. I just kind of, yeah, cool, just went back in, like, yeah, let's get married.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, put some parameters on
that song live. Based on the keys. What?
I'm literally got the keyboard right here. Start playing.
Ayce, I don't want to go next, bro.
All right, I'll go next because it is a very, very good question, you know. And I've got to be honest, what actually happened with us? I got asked the question, like, what are we doing? Mad one, like, because we were together having a good old time, whatever, like just doing what we were doing, and then I think Steph went away, came back, and I don't really know what motivated the question, or maybe I do, I can't remember, but no, but she was kind of just like, what is this, like, where's it going, what are we doing, like, we're wasting time. And she was like, we kind of need to say what we're doing. And I kind of thought to myself, I'd been in a relationship before that. And the question was asked that, would you marry this person? And the answer was not just no, but hell no. Like I thought to myself, like, I marry this person. I was like, rah, like I really couldn't. So then when the question was asked of me again, and I thought to myself, can I marry this person? The answer was like, 100%. And I was like, actually, when you think about it, I don't really want to let this person go. So I was like, from that point, I was kind of like Festus, where it was like, boy, my mind was, I wasn't thinking about marriage. In my head, I was like, I've got all the time in the world, kind of chilling. Like, at some point, we'll do it and all of that, get engaged and all the rest of it. But at that point, it kind of put me into a next gear, and I was just like, I got asked a question. The answer was yes. So there's like, from there, it was just within a year, we were engaged, and then within another year, we were married, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you was how young? You was quite young, weren't you?
Young by today's standards, but I don't think we were any kind of statistic. I got married at 25.
Yeah, that's
yeah. I think that's.
Hi, Ray.
Yeah, how old was I? Damn. Yeah, 30. 30. Yeah. Oh, so I guess my story as such. How did I know? I went to Jamaica. My mum lives in Jamaica. I went to Jamaica to go and visit, and at the time, my now wife was pregnant with my son, my second son, and I just remember just being out there and just thinking, "Right, I've actually never missed someone the way that I've missed her right now." And having a conversation with my mum, you know, just smoking some green grass and stuff like that, just, you know, in the zone and stuff. And I just said to my mum, she's the one. She's the one. Like, I literally, I have to do this. And I borrowed money off my mum. I don't know if I paid her back, but I borrowed money off my mum and I bought the ring when I was out there. Wow. And I literally, it was just so overwhelming. And this is not romantic, I know, but I asked her to marry me over Skype. Literally.
That's cute, though.
Yeah, Skype's so dead now, though, isn't it?
No, it is romantic.
Not even FaceTime.
Wait to get home.
Like the wait.
Yeah, it was one of them. And the reality of it before is that we had kind of, I always thought she would jokingly ask me to marry her and stuff like that, and I'd be like, babe, come on, stop being silly, innit? And it was just never at the forefront of my mind. I never pictured myself kind of being a married man and having the whole situation, but it was just everything, the whole thing of me having my second child and my family union. I was like, no, this is what I want. Yeah, and it had to be done. And the second time, when I actually got back to England, this is a real life story. Yeah, when I got back to England, we went to the hospital to do a little quick check on the baby and whatnot. And I thought, got a ring now. So in Camberwell, knelt down to just do it. It was random. I looked up. I'm outside the sexual health clinic, brother. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I asking this question right here? But obviously went through with it. It was all nice and worked out. 8 years later, we're good.
Wicked.
I'm just reading some of these comments. That's funny. I couldn't wait 9 hours.
I've just clocked how to get it on there. But if I want to chat back, how do I chat back in the?
I don't think.
Oh, I think you can. There should be. Is there not a chat box? Can you not see a chat box on your end?
Yeah, but it's private chat or comment
only between us.
I think you comment. Oh, you can only do the chat with us.
It's all right. I think on the I've just logged into the YouTube, so if anyone wants to say anything, I'm ready to clap back. I mean, everyone to stay in their lane. Yeah.
You can say it. You can say it.
Everyone. Yeah.
Now listen.
The only problem. This is a little bit like Skype.
It's all good.
I mean, this is a little bit like Zoom, where if more than one person speaking at the same time, it will cut out. You know, it can only be. Yeah. So I try not to. Right. So I've got a question. This one was sent in. Was there ever a fear of being off the market? And what did you do with your little black book?
Now, you know what? I can answer this one first, you know, because I
had to do the disclaimer so I don't get in trouble with it.
You know what? I'll be honest, you know, like while we're doing full disclosure, because I don't mind.
Especially do it now, bro. Go for
it. Probably that fear probably came later on in marriage, you know. I wasn't even thinking that way when we first got married. I was all in. And then that's probably come like later on in the relationship at a point or at another point or whatever, where it's like rah, like especially maybe if you're getting some attention or whatever, like doing what I do, I'm always out there and stuff, and I'm seeing how like how it is in it. Like for a start, people don't business when you're married. That's the first thing that I realized. People don't business when everybody's like, this is dropping some gems. I can see what their face.
Ace, where you take us, bro?
No, for real.
Man, drop me off around the corner, innit? You're going there.
I'm gonna be back real quick. I'm back in 10 minutes.
No, for real. But and it's like, I mean, I've been a good boy, so that's why I can be so confident to say this. But I did realize, and also being around people that weren't being such good people as well, I was like, rah. It really doesn't make a difference whether you're married, like the pressures that you kind of face, the people you meet, the kind of way people get onto you, that kind of thing. So it definitely wasn't a thing when I was first married, but like I started to realize, like, I was gonna say I've had a mare, but not a mare. But like we're locked in now. We're locked in. So there's no going backwards, you know what I mean? And going backwards has like big harsh consequences in it. So like it's never been worth it for me to do that. There's definitely been a point where I've realized, like, rah, this is really for the long haul. And that's where because someone said 25 is young, and I really don't think it is. But by today's standards, where people are really sowing their royal oats before they get married, that's probably where that comes in, where it's like, I could have done a bit more damage. I realized too late.
Nah, listen, for me personally, it's like, how can I say, like there's no black book. Contrary to any belief, there's no black book. But it was more the build up to getting married that you had to kind of let go of certain relationships and friendships that you know that weren't really healthy, let's say. And obviously going through marriage, when you go through tough times, and this is for anyone, like let's just keep it 100. You start looking on the other side thinking, boy, maybe the grass is a little bit greener over there, you know. And you know, certain time you try and step on the grass, look a piece, and nah. And you have to check yourself. There's been times where things have just gone left, and I've had to fight for my marriage to make sure, because I've been disrespectful in certain ways and stuff like that. So you have to kind of just make sure, cool, this is for you. And this is why I was saying before about the whole, it's not just love thing. Because if I wasn't married as such, I don't know, my fight's good, but
yeah, is it that good?
I might not have been on this show. You know, it's kind of it's one of those, and it's just through everything that you kind of just got to get into that space where it's just like, yeah, it's us, innit? We ride, and that's just it.
I'm with you, man. Definitely. And I got to be honest with what Craig said just before Effs goes, like, going back to the question that was asked before. If I wasn't married, there might be a shout that, boy, we wouldn't still be together. You know what I mean?
That's one of the questions I'm going to come. I'm coming to that. Cool.
It's your turn.
Yeah, don't mess up the thing.
I'll come to that one. Yeah. So
the black book.
All right. You know what? I can say it in this.
4 terabyte hard drive in that, yeah.
Even though
through the phone, that's it.
It says that. I always think, when you meet someone, sometimes you just have conversations that are not leading anywhere, but you know, you might be flirting with someone, whatever, and then you get into a relationship, and then you kind of like phase that person out or get rid or whatever you do. But it's like, there's another question I do want to ask about, like friends, like in your singleness, this friend could have genuinely been a friend. But when you're married, now you're looking, actually, I don't know if that's quite a friend. I can't actually bring her around. Like,
yeah, it's a bit techie.
When you're single, it seems like a friend. She's just a friend. But then could you bring her home to eat now with you and your wife? Like,
I think, okay, so the first bit of the question, what was it? About the black book and that?
It was, what
man said, what is it? Like he couldn't remember. I love that.
Was there fear of being off the market? Like, did you think, rah?
Nah, I don't think there was. I think for me personally, my one was a bit different, I guess, maybe to certain others, because I'd convinced myself that that's what was gonna be my future, like just single, innit? So it didn't. I don't know. It was kind of I don't want to say it was a relief, but it was a bit. It was an easy change because I didn't think there was anyone, so there's only really one option. You see what I'm saying? So it's her, not anyone else. So do I want to be with her or do I want to be on my own? And so that was more of my thing. As far as the friends thing, I think sometimes, obviously, girls and guys, we're attracted to each other. It's difficult to have. Oh, sorry, have I back?
You didn't do it on purpose, did you? Like switch off your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think like it's difficult. That's a difficult one because, for instance, my wife has got her best friend. Two of her closest friends are both guys. I've met both of them, and we're cool. Like I love them to bits. Like we get on. It's all good. Like I think it's few and far between, but I think it is right. But for me personally, I think that most, from my experience anyway, most girls that are like really good friends are really good friends. Like they're close friends, they're your brethren, that's it. But the other ones that kind of, do you know what I mean? There's always like a little, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you're not sure about them, or maybe they're not sure about you or whatever. Like it's a bit,
There's the energy.
Those ones will always be like that. Doesn't mean you can't be friends with them, but they're not. You know what I mean? You're not calling me at 12 midnight. Do you know what I mean? I'm not picking up my phone all the time.
Yeah,
like,
it's a respect.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you have to, as the individual that's married, and Ace touched on it earlier. Like it's almost like the wedding band is a sign to say, "Yeah, come get me," because it's like certain females don't care about that at all. So as the person who's married, you have to then cut your coat according to your size and trim what needs to be trimmed and put things in place that need to be put there as a guy, because we're men at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So it's always difficult for us, I think, more so than it is for women. So yeah.
Yeah, no,
sorry,
I think
I'll just read this comment real quick. Most of us lie to ourselves. We call them friends, but deep down we know. Like we know if we were in a relationship, we would never accept a friend like this in our partner's life. Okay, I hear what you're saying.
I agree and somewhat disagree, because I think if you know that they're not your brethren and whatever, then you're lying to yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think you can say, "Oh, we know that," because then you've never been their friend anyway. We're not friends. We're just, what are we even doing?
Do you think history should be a factor? Like if there was always this thing I used to have in my head. It's like, if this person was my friend before I met you, and now we're together, why should the dynamic of that friendship have to change when nothing was happening before? So why would anything kind of happen during? You know what I'm saying? But let's just say that my wife might not vibe with that girl, or you know that women can see stuff in other women and all that stuff. It's nuts. And I used to stand strong with that. But then I guess the reality is, it is about trying to prioritize what is most important to you. And if you can then see the disrespect that because there's got to be some sort of disrespect. You can't just say that, "Oh, I just don't like her because of the way she looks," or whatever. Like, there's got to kind of be something. But when you kind of see those things, even if you don't address it directly, you'll start to gravitate away in it, because you.
Yeah, but sometimes the girl best friend that you had didn't know she loved you until you got married.
She's the ultimate lurker. She's just there waiting for the slip.
Now she's like, saw you in the suit on the day and that. It's all crazy.
Definitely a sick team.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's like, actually, it should be me.
I'll be real, yeah. I at times, yeah, you go through little periods where you're kind of feeling yourself. You're like, "Rah, I'm getting this attention from this person, this attention from this person." I was thinking it was me, bro. It's this thing. It's a magnet. You know what it is? Is that the forbidden fruit, I guess, always tastes better in people's head. And if you're demonstrating maybe qualities that somebody is looking for, they may just try and identify that with you, and then all of a sudden it's you that they're going for. And a lot of women, with not being too disrespectful, just don't care. They don't care. And I guess as men, the onus is on us. Where as married men, the onus is on us to deal with those situations.
Very true.
But I think sometimes girls see the wedding band. I think sometimes we get it wrong as well. And they see the wedding band, and actually it's like, one, you're a good guy because you've made an honest woman, or you're honest man, honest couple, whatever. The second thing is that actually I can chat to you and actually have a vibe with you, and it's not going to go nowhere because you're married. So sometimes the missus might see that and think, oh, they're trying to come on to you, but no, actually they feel mad comfortable around you because they know you're not interested in them at all. Or they think that, or whatever the case may be. And actually you've got a missus, so it's cool. Do you know what I'm saying?
Optimistic, bro.
Nothing my thing.
That's very I don't know, yeah.
That's a good comment.
I've seen certain situations.
I was going to say, because I'm, I guess, one of those friends that have married male friends. I think that there are some women that are not really respectful of the relationships, especially if they feel like they've been there, they were there first, this was my friend, now you're married. You don't want the relationship to change. But I do think it's on that female friend to have respect. Like, I know I do. I have male friends that are either in relationships or married or whatever. And maybe when they were single, I'll talk to them whenever. But when they're in this setup, I just have to know for myself, I'm not going to be phoning them in the middle of the night. You wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, for example, the other day, I messaged you and it was quite late. And I was like, sorry, it's late. You know what I mean? I'm just naturally like that. Ayce is like, don't be stupid. No, I'm not one of them. I need to ask them a question. What the point I'm making is that people should be respectful, like I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but all right.
But is that a conversation that you guys need to have, or is that something you just have to adapt to?
I just think that you should just know. You should just know what you would want for yourself. I feel like I'm in a relationship and my partner's got female friends. You know, we're chilling, we're watching TV. We might be watching TV at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not expecting your female friend to phone you for gossip at that time, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. So this is what I was going to say, just to jump in there. Because I was going to say, what did I reply back to you? I laughed and said, 1 second.
Exactly.
At which point are you texting me, sorry, it's late? I laughed because it's short, like we're night owls or whatever. I think a couple of things, right? I think in life,
we're night owls. Must remember that one. If that works, you are a G.
So what I was going to say, in life, different people have different idea of boundaries, right? And what boundaries are. So what's boundaries to you, Craig, might be different to me. Do you know what I mean? And I think context has a lot to do with it. Char wasn't texting me like, how was your day? She was texting me like it was something business related, or like I think it was even something to do with this. I can't remember what it was.
What type of business?
And I was like, yeah, you froze, you chief.
That's why. See?
So that's why I laughed, because I was like,
sorry,
like, if I'm up, I'm gonna answer my phone, because like this, like I don't really lock up my phone at certain times or whatever, depending on what it is. But I don't really have people messaging me like, oh, how are you at like 1:56 in the morning? Like that's certainly suspect. You know what I mean? But I think going back to what I was saying before, I actually genuinely think people have a different idea of boundaries. Like some people are locking off their phone at like 9 and they're not answering nothing. And like, I'm just not like that. Like I'm not like that. And I don't actually expect my wife to be like that either. You know what I mean? So I'm not expecting nothing that I'm not cool with myself. You know what I mean? So like if I see Steph's on her phone at 11, 12, whatever.
1 o'clock in the morning is cool with you?
Yeah, I'm cool, but like honestly,
not me, brethren.
I'm cool.
That's a problem. That's a big problem.
I'm totally cool.
No, that's a big. This a night owl or not? No. And now I just want to know, what is it that needed to be asked at 1 o'clock in the morning? Like, let's all see. Like, that's crazy. But I respect it. Like you said, that's what I'm saying. The boundaries are different.
I don't think it's crazy. I'm with Ayce on that one because like I'm exactly the same. Like my phone is on. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. If I'm up and I see the message and I can respond to it, I respond to it. And she's the same. Like, obviously, I think maybe it's industry or whatever. Like, man's used to being up late. Do you know what I mean? And like your phone rings late. Sometimes people finish gigs late or whatever. And it's not a thing. Like,
yeah.
Saying if it's
me and my wife have work.
what are you up to? Like,
do you know what, Craig? That might have something to do with it as well. Just different industries and stuff. Because I'm used to
lifestyle.
Even to a fault. Sometimes I make myself too available at stupid times in the morning because I know that's how the industry works. You know what I mean? Like sending someone files at 2 a.m. because they've got something in the morning they need help. You know what I mean? So I'm used to like not locking off my phone because you miss something disastrous. So that may have something to do with it. And as I say, it probably is to a fault. But yeah, I guess everyone just has their own kind of boundaries. Because maybe if I married somebody that wasn't in the industry that I'm in, I'd be saying this and having a big problem because I don't feel the same. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you know what it is? It's lifestyle differences as well. But anyone who knows my wife well enough to be messaging at 1:20 in the morning should know that she works. Should know that she's got a husband who lies next to her who needs his sleep. And really and truly, if it's that desperate, if she don't answer, you better call my phone because someone needs to answer because it's desperate right now.
Yeah,
1 a.m. in the morning.
True.
Someone better be dying.
Yes. And it's funny when I was trying to contact you, Craig, and I contacted you via Instagram at the time, and I'm like, I don't know how often he looks at his Instagram. I had to message the wife, innit? I'm like, can you just let Craig know I've DM'd him? It's like you're like, why is my wife reminding me I've got girls in my DMs?
Like it's crazy. Like, and I was just like, wow, that's so funny. Because when she came to me, she was like, oh, this. I was like, right, I haven't even looked. I was like, that's a proper married man answer, isn't it? I haven't even looked at my DMs. What's that? How'd you get there? Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. That's the best to get through.
Miss J. That's Jade.
Yes, it depends. What's urgent? What's the definition of urgent, though? Because everyone's urgent is different.
I was with my my married male friends after 10 p.m. It's urgent. Yeah, I guess that is the question, isn't it? What's urgent?
Yeah, like
where's your man? Where's your man?
Like maybe if there's something I need help with, only you can help me. You'd have to be really close, to be honest, for it to be that. I don't know what kind of urgent that could be.
Oh, the question has just come up. We going deep now.
Oh, we going deep.
The exes one.
I missed that. What happened?
I didn't even read that properly. I know some that are open to speaking to exes, for example, and other people in marriages. That is a huge no-no. What speaking to people in marriages?
Depends to your exes.
So speaking to an ex when you're married, like.
Yeah, if you've got kids in another marriage or something, or like there's some sort of tie to an ex, then you're gonna have.
Yeah,
that's good. I think you can't. I think it just depends. You can't. I don't think it's right to be speaking to your ex.
To be fair, I think Liz is talking about like a general chit chat, not like talking about pocket money on a Monday.
I think, but it depends on what the breakup was with your ex and what they are to, how they are to you, how long you've been together. I don't think you can blanket say, oh, because it's your ex, you can't speak to them. It's a mutual breakup. Maybe like it was. Do you know what I mean? Neither of you wanted to be with the other person, but you wanted to remain friends.
I wonder about that because I've got a really good a friend that is an ex, like from way back. Like he just really is my friend, and I think when I get married, will I be allowed? Like, imagine.
Yeah, no, but
yourself. And I've met already. Craig's face. Look at his face already. Look.
Yeah, but I think it's
my only question is why do you still need to be friends? Just tell me just the why. Why do you still need to be friends?
But see, I don't agree with that because why do you have what friends do you have? Why do you have the friends that you have?
Listen, my thing is
why are you friends with Ayce?
And it's We're just cool now, aren't we?
I'm speaking about we were friends first. Into a relationship, we weren't meant to be in a relationship. We were meant to be friends.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, that's not what we're meant to be. And we, luckily enough, I know not a lot of people can do it, but we actually went back to being friends.
Yeah, but all right, cool. But you said that's from a long time ago. So my thing is that if my wife had just broken up with someone, and then we get into a relationship, we go in to get married, and she still wants to hold on to that friend. Why? You guys didn't work.
Yeah, but why not though? What if it's an important friend
I don't
to her?
understand it.
Yeah, but what happens if it's an important friend that was with her at a time when she was in need and like helped her with something?
I tell you what doesn't
emotional.
Was you deeply in love with him? Was you deeply in love with him? If that answer is yes, you got no dealings there, because as we know, things can change, things can lie dormant, sparks can fly at any time. Why? Just someone told me why.
Might hear that special song.
You know what, right? I have a question then, rather than an answer. And the question is this: are a lot of the boundaries that we put in marriages, forget relationships, marriages, because there's the ultimate commitment, a lot of boundaries in due to being safe or due to just propping up our own insecurities?
Exactly.
It's about me being insecure, bro.
It's a question.
Man, them are sensitive. Man, can't handle it. Man, them can't take it.
Is that cool though?
I don't think it is.
I'm not sure that is the biggest, like the highest state of Zen, if you know what I mean. Where like you kind of want to be at a place where you don't have insecurities and there's just mad trust and you're just kind of cool. Now, obviously, I know that's a mad utopia, right? But then we need to then think about what, and I'm not talking specific to what Craig said. I'm talking about loads of boundaries that we put in now. Like, are we really shackling our partners and ourselves, and everyone's not really living free because the boundaries that we're putting in aren't really about boundaries. It's just about making you feel cool.
And you know what is, I 100%, and that's kind of, obviously I wouldn't have put it quite so articulate, but I agree with you 100%. I think, and it's like our bishop said something like one time about he doesn't want to know that don't tell me that the lion's tame when it's locked in a cage. I need to know that it's tame when it's out, when the doors are open. Like, don't tell me that you're a thief. You're not a thief when everything's locked away. When my phone's on the table, I need to know that.
Are you going to take?
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying, let them do what they want to do and monitor and see if they're doing anything. No, what I'm saying is, if you're going to do it,
you do it anyway.
So why am I? Don't speak to him. I want you back at this time. You're gonna find a way to just make it. Oh, so you're gonna be watching my phone then, and you're gonna be looking for my DMs. So let's cancel Instagram. Do you know what I mean? It then becomes like if you don't trust them, then you don't trust them. If they're gonna do it,
you know what it is. I am. Someone put it in the comments. I am definitely maybe a bit old school in that respect, but in terms of the coming and goings and your phone, do your thing. Listen, party. Send me a picture. Do your business. That's fine. Not a problem. But it's not necessarily just about trust. For example, if you know your partner and you know the insecurities that they have, then you're mindful about that, because you have to remember this is the person that you've chose to be with, all their flaws and everything. I know, man. You know what I'm saying? And I do. It's like no matter how much I am committed to changing my body and going to the gym, you lock me in a cake shop for 24 hours, there will be cakes missing. Yeah, it's just what it is. I don't need to be around that environment. You know what I'm saying? Because people are emotional. So their intention is this, that, and the other, but you don't know what emotions going through that day. You don't know what could. You know what I'm saying? And someone said it in the comments. Well, what is wrong with a bit of closure in terms of talking about the ex? Char, your example when you were talking about someone you've been with for time ago, and fair enough, innit? That's gone from friendship to being with someone back to friendship. I wouldn't even count that, but I'm just talking about immediate exes.
No, it's fair play, man. Like, I just think that there is a thin line between, like, you know what I mean? Like, at what point are you shackling your partner based on your perspective, and what point are you actually putting in boundaries because we're being safe and we're being responsible? You know what I mean? Like, it's And a lot of people mar it, and like you kind of look on and you see. Sometimes you look at the way other people run stuff, and it's like, rah, boy, that could never be me. You know what I mean? Like man is out with his boys and that, and the phone is, I mean, blaring up, or like you're in a bar having a drink with your boys, and man's is like, oh no, don't take a picture. I'm like, for what possible reason am I not allowed to take a picture of my espresso martini right now? Like, for what possible reason? Nobody's doing anything, but you're telling me that I can't take a picture so I can't be free because of your wife's insecurity. That's mad. That's crazy to me. And that's happened on more than one occasion. I see that all the time.
Yeah. I think as well, one thing that I always do.
Liz was, I'm weak out here, Liz. That's why I don't put myself in there.
One thing, I see the case. Whenever I'm doing something to my or dress something, is that me? Sorry, everything disappeared. What I always do is I always think, can she say that to me? Is it all right for her to tell me what I'm about to tell her? Is it okay? How would I respond to what I'm about to say? And then I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's not fair. Or I wouldn't really like that. Do you know what I mean? So then it's like, okay, cool. What would I like? Okay, I would like it put to me like this. And I think I always do that and then I feel like when I do, it becomes more fair. And like what Ayce is saying, the boundaries that we're putting in place and the things that we're saying we should or shouldn't do is both ways. I wouldn't like that if that happened, and neither would you. I don't like this when you. Do you know what I mean? So I need you to stop doing whatever it is because it makes me feel a certain way. The way you're feeling is from a past trauma or isn't justified. So it's then like, okay, cool. You can go out actually, because why wouldn't you? I can go out. I can you can take pictures. I've got friends like that. In fact, we went out with my friend and someone took a picture of all of us. And in the reflection of the picture, there was a girl standing facing the opposite direction near to him, but out of the picture. So in the reflection there's someone standing here. There's nothing to do with anyone. You have to go home. As soon as my friend posted the picture, you had to go.
You had to go. See, what is this? That's the conversation I have with my children.
That's mad.
Come home. You know, but that's what I'm saying. Obviously that's her thing, but her insecurity is that she doesn't want any girls around, and she doesn't want you going out with your mates, whether they're married or not, or whatever, because there's girls in the club. So when does that become?
That's deep. That's deep.
That's living in a prison.
How common that is. That's the thing. That's so common. What Effs is talking about is so common. I see that more than I don't see that. Like big time, and people under this guise of like boundaries and under this guise of like being responsible because you're married. I'm like, that's move for me with that. That's nonsense. Sorry.
That's serious. That's what it is. So I think I'm just always aware, like, because obviously men and women are different and we think differently and stuff, but it's very easy to let that sort of, I feel insecure, so I'm gonna hover this thing over you to make sure that you comply with whatever I want you to, because I don't feel, because it makes me feel a certain way, which isn't justified. Like it's dangerous because it's like an entry drug. Do you know what I mean? It brings the whole, okay, cool, now I'm telling you what to do, and now you're doing it, and now, do you know what I mean? And then where do you end?
So how would you deal with it if you was friends with an ex-partner and your wife said to you, I'm not comfortable with you being friends with your ex. Is there any way that you can create some sort of separation? What would you do in that instance?
I think in that situation, what I would do is, first of all, I'd address or find out why she doesn't feel comfortable with it. Like, what is the issue? If it's because we were together or whatever, and get to the root of it that way. If there's a way to accommodate it, then I would try. But if it's not for a reason, I don't want to say good enough reason. It can't just be because, let's say for instance let's say for instance that person has like really helped me with something, or really helped the family with something in the period of time when we're together. I really helped my mum still speaks to her, my sister still speaks to her, but you feel uncomfortable because we had something in the past. Unfortunately, when you met me, that person was already there. If I don't like your brother or your mum,
so would you say no?
You can't tell me who I can and can't be friends with. Unfortunately, you can't.
This is quite peak, you know, because
I can't tell you.
That is one
like
iteration, right? That is one iteration, but there's another iteration where it's like, obviously, men and women are different, and we think differently, and oftentimes, guys aren't really in tune to what women are putting out. So we might be naive and not realize someone likes us, for instance, or it's looking that way.
Oh my gosh.
The wife is a woman, and she's like, yep. And then obviously you're going to be like, well, what are you talking about?
I hear you. All right. So let me ask
in that situation. How do you navigate that? Because it's like you don't believe it to be true, and you might genuinely not believe it to be true.
Why can't you guys see these things?
Because it's one of them things, isn't it?
We know as women, like
100%. Wife is like 100%. This is what it is. So it's like, do you then have to be like, look, my wife is the most important person to me, and nothing should come above her? Because you know what I mean. So like, I have to look the relationship, or is it about you can't tell me what to do? Because true say,
okay. So twofold. So one, as a man, I strongly believe this. Is there anything that someone can make you do that you don't want to do yourself? As a man, if you don't want to do something, you're not going to do it. Simple as that. So the only insecurity
that right now, I don't know what you mean.
What I'm saying is, as a man, obviously there's certain things that you're capable of doing, and certain things you're incapable of doing as human beings or whatever. But as a man, because let's call a spade, isn't it? If you're talking to your ex, your missus is only going to be worried that you're going to get back with her. That's the only problem.
Yeah.
Or if you're talking to a girl, the only issue is that you might get with her. That's the only problem. Everything else, no one cares about. Don't care if you talk, do whatever, but you think eventually something's going to happen between you and this other person. If you don't want to do anything with that individual, you're not going to do it. If you do, you will. So whether I'm speaking to her or not,
but if you're not in
black or white like that.
But guess what? If you're not in contact with the person, there's 100% chance you're not going to do nothing.
That's what I was just about to say. Craig's friend.
but
Craig's
there's
friend.
also 100%. No, but sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, Craig's point is this, like, as he just said, there's 100% chance if you're not. But also what I was going to say is, you can believe what you like. It just takes the wind to blow a certain way. And who knows?
Like, come on, that's my thing. Let's just keep it real. Like we're in the real world, innit? This is what it is. And I get it. Like, everything's supposed to be painted and it's supposed to be roses and everyone's supposed to have all the right intentions, but the reality is just not that. And whilst I know you and I know the person that I'm with, I don't know that person.
Yeah, but I think by pure definition, intention. If you're intentionally doing something, so you can't have the best intention and do something bad.
Bro, no, 1 second.
What are you talking about?
Go back to your wife.
I didn't want you, but
I never intended to do it. I never
intended it.
You can't listen.
Intend to do it, so it's all right. No,
you showered, yeah. You showered. You knew where you were going. You showered. You put on cologne. You put on the fresh boxer. Yeah. You put on the clean crepe jeans, shirt. Everything smelled Aventus, whatever. Looking a million. $2 your hair. Like what? You know why you're going there. You can't. Like for me, I feel like you only do what you want to do. Unfortunately, that's what I believe. Firm believe that.
And listen, what you're saying is true, isn't it? But it's just that. Like I said, if I would have, if I put myself in certain situations, there are things that for whatever the reason could be, I don't know. Listen, it could be that person just peed me off, pissed me off, or drunk, but you've put yourself in an environment where something could happen when you didn't have to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But nothing can happen if you don't want it to. That's what I'm saying. So you can't. That it doesn't make sense. Like I just don't believe it.
I hear what you're saying. You know what it is? I mean, we're at the same fence, just on different sides.
I think every man that cheated on their missus, or every man that stepped out of their marriage, or every man that went to Brass House, or wherever they went, knew exactly what they're doing at the time, whether they're drinking or not. They maybe lost inhibition. They went with the intention to do the thing that they were going to do. 100%. There's no point in time where you're like, oh, you might regret it afterwards, or I shouldn't have done it. But at the time, you were doing what you wanted to do, my guy.
I think it's more great. I think that's a very simplistic way of viewing like anything.
It's black and white, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think these situations are. Even if you get seduced, you're talking to the girl for ages, and she start the conversation, and then you just start getting closer. At the end, you went there to do what you're gonna do. You know exactly what's happening. You knew exactly what you did. Even when you had to get DOMs, you did everything. You knew what was going on. You did like. What are we talking about?
Hey, bro, if you're married and you're going out with
that's what I'm saying. You know what's going on. It's intentional. You're intentionally going out of your way. It doesn't matter whether you speak to my thing is, if we don't speak, there's 100% chance of nothing happening. If we do speak and I don't want to do anything, there's 100% chance of nothing happening. I don't think there's ever like, oh, if you speak to her, then maybe something will happen because you want it to. Especially as guys, come on, man, them know, like talking to girls and that, like, oh yeah, like you know what
that. Now your point 100% has been made. I'm just telling you, it's not as black and white as that. It's just
maybe I've got
like I get you, and to a point I agree, but then it's not as black and white as that, because that makes every mistake made intentional, and I don't think mistakes are always as intentional as that.
Okay, so what?
You need to articulate everything for me, bro. Yeah, because you got the words. So then that's what I'm talking.
Okay, so what mistake did you not mean to make?
All right, so here's the thing, right?
What mistake isn't intentional?
Here's what I think. What I do think is that people don't always make mistakes because they're just angry and all that kind of stuff. So like sometimes people go out and cheat, right? And nobody made them go out and cheat. But the reason that they went out and cheat is because they were unhappy or something like that. And you don't always know that you're unhappy. Do you know that? You don't always know. It might be when you go out and you're just doing your thing and then you buck up on a situation that makes you realize, rah, I was unhappy. The amount of people that end up in therapy, and it's the therapist that tell them so that you did that because you were unhappy, and then they're talking about it, you realize, Ross, I was grossly unhappy. Do I even still want to be married to this person? This is after a maz has happened 10, 20 times. Do you know what I mean? So it's like that person maybe didn't go out to intentionally put on whatever cologne, you know what I mean? Hugo Boss, whatever, and just even scrape his head and do comb.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Darren, who's the comic come up.
But definitely, exactly. I agree with that. So, like,
and as human beings, we are all capable of making mistakes.
Yeah, real talk. And while I get what Craig is saying in terms of like, if you're not in the room, you can't get locked in. Simple, right? But then I personally don't want to go to that extent because I feel like you may miss out on just. Like, if you're not in the room, you can't be in the party either. I've got all of these things. I don't know. But like, so I like to try and just do my best to like.
But this is what I'm saying. There's bare other rooms. Why you got to go to that room? Like, there's bare rooms. Like, cool. And I'm cool with all those other rooms, isn't it? Like,
I hear you. I don't know. I just for me personally. That's just what it is. It just I'm never going to be convinced otherwise.
There are many steps before actually having sex. So how many mistakes?
This is it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what we saying? Like, bro, from me lips it or whatever, from me touching down, bro, you're meant to do it. Your hand, your body, unless you have nervous.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll be 100% real. if my wife or any like partner that I was with cheated on me, I'm assuming some responsibility for that.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm assuming some responsibility for that because I'm not fulfilling or keeping that person happy, and maybe it's got to a point where there's, I don't know, miscommunication or whatever, but I have to assume some responsibility. Some, not all of it.
That is crazy.
I know Effs is like, no! How can you say that? Yeah, bro. That's just real.
I'm with Craig.
It's your fault.
No, not you.
No, some. He said.
Didn't say that.
Okay, which part?
He said, so basically, remember
Some,
what
I heard
some, bro.
Remember what I was saying about the reasons people do things, right? It's not about saying that it's your fault, because only you made you go out and actually do the deed. But what got you to that place where you were even kind of like considering it or anything like that has to do with something that you are not happy with, whatever it is. So just by inference, I think that's true. And if you're really trying to,
it's true. Like, yeah, even if it's a breakdown in communication, cool. There's some responsibility I need to take for that. If the lines are not open to communication, I've got to take some responsibility for that. Like there is some. And I'm just
the reason I say
it doesn't always.
And the reason I say no.
This is just 100.
The reason I say no is because there are some girls that are just loose and they will just go out and do whatever they want. And some men
loose.
You know, and some men are, but you should
exactly. So you can't say that.
So that's what I'm saying. You got to take responsibility. You didn't vet the girl properly. You didn't go through the vetting process. So if you leave the loose girl, you got to take some responsibility.
Completely. There's no way. There's no way. How's that going to be your whole wife, bro? Because we're talking
anyway.
You're calling it loose. Nah, no.
What you're saying is you. So basically, the reason I say this, I can't believe this. You're with your missus now, yeah. You with your missus. You go out here and you do a mad thing. You do a mad thing. It's her fault. She has to take some responsibility.
No,
so that means everyone can just go out and do what they're doing. She's got to take some.
No.
Some of it's her fault. She's got to take some responsibility.
I'm saying that. Yeah, more often than not, she'd have to take some responsibility, because
there's a
reason. There's a reason behind every reaction.
So everyone who's been cheated on
is the case. No, you're doing the thing where you put in words. I didn't say this. This is your words.
So what are you saying? Only some.
No.
Some people have been cheated on. It's your fault.
I said what I said.
Share joint responsibility, joint enterprise.
No. I'm saying some. Whether that percentage is 1% or 50 or whatever. Some.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah,
if your wife cheats on you,
100% just down to the other person.
But you said if your wife cheats on you, you're gonna have to assume some responsibility.
Yeah,
I think that's crazy. I think that's.
I would take some responsibility. 100%.
I can't believe
100%.
And you know what?
If your belly's full, do you go McDonald's?
Swallow.
I might need a cheeseburger.
Well, that's greed. I'm saying.
If my belly's full, listen, man said a ham sandwich every day.
But no, my thing is,
sometimes I might need a cheese sarnie. Sometimes I might need a bacon patty.
Sometimes I might. I've spoken about is food. Yeah, I'm so hungry, bro.
Why would you go out for a burger when you've got steak at home? But I love burgers. You see what I'm saying? Burgers are a passion.
All right, so
that just sounded like you just said I love hoes. Yeah, that's what that sounded like.
No, but do you know what I mean? I just don't see in any world where if you go out and intentionally do a madness, I have to say it's because I didn't treat you a certain way or I didn't speak to you.
Right,
or I'm not internalizing that.
So I'll tell you the reason why. This is the reason why, because you said before about mistakes are always intentional. Because you look at it from that black and white view, you don't look at it as a mistake. So therefore, because you don't look at it as a mistake, you wouldn't be able to take any responsibility because you think it's just 100% down to that person.
It's a choice.
And let's just say, for example, I'm with my wife in here, and I don't know, we're going through some drama, or I'm saying horrible things, where mental abuse and all of these things, and then she goes out as a madness. Can I really just come back and start crying like, oh my God, I can't believe she's done this to me?
Yeah, but you don't care about that woman anyway. You don't care about her.
some responsibility. It's an extreme example. It's an extreme example, but what I'm trying to say is that there are things that lead to people doing things, and sometimes those things are not just down to that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if I'm abusing you if I'm a man, I have a woman, I'm abusing a woman, do whatever, emotional abuse, whatever, and she goes out and does her thing, I don't care about her anyway. Look how I'm treating her.
No, but all right, so bro,
it's the definition of mistake. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you can't. Things that happen that lead to it, but it's not a mistake. I think the definition is getting a bit.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a cheating mistake.
Let me ask you a question, bro. Like, so let's leave the you don't care about the abuse and all that kind of thing, right? From you're a guy and you're thinking to yourself, or a lady thinking to yourself, all right, I'm gonna go out and do a mazza, yeah, I'm gonna do a mad one. Let's call it intentionally. It's not a mistake. If you're in an honest, true relationship, what is putting you to the point where you want to do that? I believe that's what Craig is saying. Yeah, I'm asking you a question because you're talking really kind of black and white. And even if it's intentional, something's made you to the point where you want to intentionally step out on what you have respect for. So therefore, it could be anything. And it's not to say that the person's made you have that intention, but they've made you open to doing a mad one. So therefore, you have to ask, what is it about this relationship? What am I not happy with that's made me open to completely intentionally go and screw up what I have?
I hear that. But
whilst I'm not responsible for that action, I might be responsible for the mindset. Do you understand what I mean?
And that's more what it is. And usually you'll find with a little bit of digging
with your worst mistake. Yeah.
You forgive her. You forgive her, yeah? Because it's your fault anyway. It's part of it. 50-50, the split.
You went and smashed.
Right, I'm sorry, babe. I'll take 50.
Are we talking
I think we're talking about cheating, yeah.
So every sort of incident has to be looked at in the individual circumstance, 100%. 100%. So the answer is not yes or no. We have to look at it as an individual.
So what I was going to ask, because you were saying something about it's not just black and white.
Yeah.
You said I look at things black and white. So what's the grey area? Where's the grey area in between faithful and unfaithful? Where is it? Where's the?
But we've explained it. That's what I'm saying.
So we were talking about what Craig said about having to assume some responsibility.
Okay.
Not about the grey area between faithful and unfaithful. Ain't nobody saying that like, I did that with her and that wasn't unfaithful. Do you know what I mean? If it's unfaithful, it's unfaithful.
Yeah, right. So then if I'm going out and I'm being unfaithful,
yeah.
If I'm in control, this is Effs. I'm in control of my emotion. Yeah. So things can affect my emotion.
Yeah.
i.e., a situation can happen, and I will decide on, okay, I'm going to be upset. How upset am I going to be? How am I going to take it? Like, I think it's called hermeneutics or something, where the process, it's like, it's the framework that you put situations in, and that framework decides on how you react to what your body does or whatever the case may be. Okay. So if I'm upset or if I'm sad or whatever, like, and I'm trying to make myself happy by going out or doing whatever, or my partner's making me, that's still me. You're doing what you're doing.
Where the grey area is. The grey area is the why are you feeling upset and got to that point. That's the grey bit.
Yeah, but that's your own thing. You can't make me feel anyway.
No. This is where I disagree.
Yeah, I don't agree. Because, bro, like, there's a whole heap of things that that can contribute to you feeling. Here's the thing. You don't arrive at the place that you're speaking about, bro. You don't wake up on a Wednesday and just decide, I feel this vex or mad or whatever, that I'm going to go out and intentionally do those things. So something's got you to that point. And if it's got you to the point where you're looking at stepping out of your marriage, knowing the consequences that, like, what you're putting on the line, it has to be something. And it's not always like, people don't always cheat because their partner cheated on them first or because their partner was chatting to another woman. There's all kind of reasons. Their partner might be completely ignoring them because they're going at work at 6, coming back at 11. That's even just a basic one, bro. Right? And then you're just feeling like, I feel completely ignored.
And I'm not talking about like Susie, who was with Tyrone for 2 weeks. You know, we're talking proper relationships, isn't it?
Exactly. After years and years, so you're trying. You also then that contract that we spoke about, why you got married, you don't feel like you can just duck out because you're married. So then you're now having to accept the situation that you're in, but it's not changing because you don't agree, because not everything that we bring up to our partner agrees is an issue or a big problem. He's like, well, what if the guy's like, look, I'm putting money on the table, right? I'm putting money on the table. So how can you have a problem with me coming back at 10 p.m. every night? But at the same time as he's putting money on the table, he's not servicing his wife's needs in any way. There's not enough hours for him to do that. So then after a point, let's say the wife intentionally goes out and beat another man, right? You're going to tell me that the husband has no part to play in her decision to do that. He didn't send her out there to beat anyone, you know. Nonetheless, you're going to tell me he has no part to play in her arriving at the point where she's prepared to put it all on the line to go out and do whatever she did. You feel me?
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's a good example.
My guy, bro.
It's a good example. But the fact still remains. Yeah. The fact still remains. Yes, he was overworking himself or whatever, but he's putting food on the table, but that wasn't enough for her. For her, that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
She decided that this is not enough for me and I'm going out to do what I want to do. That's not his fault. How can it be your fault? You're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, but
bro, how can you're
not going to get very far with that one because marriage is give and take. And
cool. Let's say this then. Yeah. I'm gonna stop working. I'm gonna service all your needs, and I'm not putting no bread on the table. They're just gonna go out and look for a guy that's got bread. That's hard.
Now, this is a guy from one extreme to the other, though. Where's the compromise?
You're not for you, not me.
Best, you know how black and white that is.
That's what you're saying.
But no one said nothing about him leaving his job. Maybe he can come home at 7:30, wash a couple dishes.
What if he works night? He can't finish his shift until
take the weekends off or something. You know?
Yeah, like something. And you know what? Is the job more important than the marriage? Because there might be a point where him being the CEO of that company is blocking his marriage to the point where they've got money, but they've got nothing else. So maybe he has to look at finding a job being a CEO of another company where he can go in at 9 and finish at 6. You know what I mean? That might be the sacrifice he has to make.
Yeah, but I think that's fair enough.
Make that sacrifice. So guess what? They end up getting divorced.
But what I'm saying, I think the point I'm making is this: is that no matter, I think you have to be saying like this here. My dad told a story to me when I was young. Yeah, I'll never forget it. That's probably an old story that everyone's heard. He said there was a man, his son, and a donkey. Yeah. Have you heard the story?
No. I'm looking at it.
So there's a man, his son, and a donkey, and they're walking from London to Glasgow, let's just say.
Yeah.
So as they walk and they get into Birmingham, the Midlands, someone says to him, "Oh, why are you walking? Don't you know that the donkey can carry your son?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, good idea." So he puts the son on the donkey and they start walking. He gets up to Manchester and they're like, What are you doing? Why are you letting your son ride a donkey? Get off and let the old man ride. Like, you're young, you can walk. Oh yeah, sorry. Gets off. Carries on going. Gets up to Scotland and like, I can't believe you, man, are riding that poor animal when you should all be walking. So they get back off. So in each stage, you can't ever please everyone. So my thing is, if we're together and we're married and I'm working or whatever and I'm trying to do my best and I'm trying to sacrifice whatever, I put food on the table, trying to do your needs, you're trying to do your whatever, and it's your decision. You can turn around and say, it's not working for me. I feel neglected. That's you feeling neglected. I'm not neglecting you. I'm doing my best. And sometimes that's why I think sometimes things break down.
No, bro.
Because listen,
you could have kind of worked out that before you got married, though. You kind of know.
This is what I'm saying. This is it. 4 years into the marriage, I don't want to hear nothing about what I've been doing for 4 years.
You know what? Life don't pan out like that, and like also people change, people develop during the years, people's needs change. Do you know what I mean? When you was like a 21-year-old
and grow
a single person, exactly. When you was like a single 21-year-old, maybe you didn't need the attention. But as a 31-year-old person who's been married 10 years, or say 6 years, maybe you need something different. You know what I mean? Like so many things can happen that like you can't be in anything long term and not be malleable. Like it's just
I agree.
It's not gonna work. The thing is, bro, it sounds like I hear the point that you're trying to make, right? But I just feel like it's too regimental, man. It's too black and white because it's more gray.
I mean,
it's
I think what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
I hear everything. I hear Ace's thing. I hear Craig's thing. Everyone's got their thing, and they're just different things.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna, we're just gonna have to just agree to disagree. Everyone's running their song. Craig,
shocked. Why are they shocked? Why are they shocked? Some said they're shocked.
I don't know what Jade. I'm not sure what she was shocked at. Probably your black and white view on most things. I've got 2 questions actually. This one was sent in while we've been on live. And how did the
Great.
Probably the longest time you've spent together.
Not in the slightest.
It's the same.
Yes and no. Like my wife works for the NHS, so
she's out.
Yeah, I know. I've just given the most boring answer. I'm sorry, but nothing really. We did spend a lot of time together. We've done more family stuff. Anything, it kind of just brought us all as a unit closer together. But yeah, there was no like real effect. Like I just had cabin fever just on a personal level because I can't do something like that. So, but yeah, definitely didn't affect me in any way at all.
For me, it was I think it helped somewhat just because we got married end of last year, coming up to our first year anniversary next month, and it was like after a little bit of time we went straight into lockdown.
Congrats, bro.
Thank you. So we went straight into lockdown, so it kind of accelerated the process. Like we were together, we came back from honeymoon into the yard and basically been in the yard for the whole year together, living in each other's pockets. So it was good for me because I'm a lot harder to live with than she is. Like I'm just don't really care about much, just free flowing, and I have a lot of habits that I didn't know I had, and she came straight into that. I've lived on my own since I was about 15, 16. Like in that, my mum's for a little bit until about 16, and then just on my own. Like, so I'm very much used to just how I do things. I put things in a certain place, and that's just how it is. So for her, it was a lot of adjusting to kind of almost come into my space, even though we both moved into another place. So I think it just accelerated the process, but it's been brilliant, to be fair. Like I've got to know her way more because we never lived together before. So yeah, man, it's been dope. I love having her around. Like I love living with someone. Like before, like.
Has there been any difference since you've been married? Is there any difference from when you was married or not?
Well, we've been together about, I think this would be 6 years. I think together 6, engaged 2, married 1. Does that even add up? 5 then, I think. It's different. You know what? Yeah, we've had this conversation so many times, and I think it was the other day when we were chatting. She's like, "How do you feel like we're married? Like, can you believe we're married?" I'm like, "Yeah, it doesn't feel. We've never. I don't know. It just our relationship from the beginning. Like, I just feel has been very, very. We've had arguments, had ups and downs and stuff, but we've kind of just decided very early on, addressed things very early on. We're going to communicate all the time as best as we can. If I need to give you space, we just iron that all out straight away. I'm a massive communicator. Like I love talking. I love understanding. Like debating like different ideas and different views and stuff. Like it's thrilling to me.
I think you guys have always seemed like you were married anyway, even before you got married.
Exactly. That's why I'm kind of exactly, because in my head, that's why at the first point I was arguing, because it's like in my head, as soon as I decided that I was going to get married to her, everything just changed. But from I knew actually I'm going to marry this woman, I started putting things in place, addressing things, addressing this, addressing that, until the point came when we're walking down the aisle. Everything from that, it's like the marriage started when I decided I was going to marry her, and just carried on from there. So we've been officially married for almost a year, but really it's been 5, because once I got with her and realized I was going to marry her, I acted like this is my wife up until now. So it's just been, it's difficult. It's been the same. Like I think the things that have changed are like she's with me now. Before I was in Cambridge, she's in London. So I see her on the weekend. I have to drive up, drive down, train. Now I come home from work, she's there. I mean, sometimes you have to get a minute outside on your own. Just because you know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I'm still learning. You get me? So it's like, but yeah, it's not changed. The relationship's still the same. It's beautiful. Like I love it, man. I can't complain. Literally, I've got to keep her. Gotta keep her.
What about you, Ayce? How's the lockdown been?
Lockdown has just been mad, like fully anyway, because like we both obviously we're both in the music industry, innit? So lockdown meant that we both went from maybe being away a lot of the year, back and forth, working a lot, to just being in the yard. And the thing is, because we are creatives, we're used to being around each other in the yard and stuff like that. But the back end of last year, we were away from each other quite a lot. So we kind of came to being around each other a lot of the time. And you know what? Lockdown was like up and down, but for so many different reasons. And obviously, when you're like, we were at the time, we were like 12 years in. So like, there's no, what's the word? Like, there's no pretense with anything. So I was ticking someone off, it's ticking them off, and you just got to deal with it. And you know what I mean? It might be a couple of days you're dealing with it rather than the minute that you needed that. Might be a couple of days, you know what I mean? Yeah, lockdown was, it's tough, you know. One thing I tried not to do was think anything too rash or do anything too rash, because I was like, this ain't a normal situation. And there was a lot of pressure going on, like because the music industry, as you know, is just shut down, isn't it? So like, imagine having like a year's worth of work in your diary and then you have no work, zero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For people that live like the way we do, that's a mad one. So a lot of stuff was said and done probably from that place rather than anything else in it. So especially now looking back, I know there's stuff I said and did like during lockdown. I was like, you arse, you know what I mean? Other way around, but we got through it. And you know what? Lockdown was actually really good in many ways for our family, because I spent so much time with my kids, like so much time, and so much time obviously with we spent a lot of time getting drunk together in the garden. Not the kids, sorry, me and my wife.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was good for like bonding and stuff like that. But to answer the question, it was up and down, definitely.
Okay. So have you guys got kids and stuff? Just quickly.
Yeah, I've got 2 kids.
You got 2?
Yeah, 2. Oldest is about to turn 16 and the youngest is 12.
And how long you been married, Ayce? Just I didn't say that at the beginning.
I've been married 13 and a half years or something. Yeah.
And then Craig, married how long?
I'm 8 years now.
I'm the newbie.
Newbie.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just no idea what I've got. No idea. Everything I just said, I've got no clue what I'm talking about. A year. 11 months.
It's good, bruv. Let me tell you something. Little nugget. When we got married, a lot of people got married the same time as us. There were some people that weren't still married at your juncture right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
I mean, these are Christian weddings, church weddings, all that kind of stuff. Like, trust me, like there was only a few still standing after 1, 2, 3 years. So like you can't like a year is a triumph, bro. Trust me.
To be fair, everyone said like if you get past the first year, it gets easy. No, not easier, but you know what I mean. It's that's the hardest year is the first one. But yeah, it's been cool. Looking forward to the next.
I had a thought, and I don't want to be too controversial, Char. I don't know where you're going with it, but I know you guys are Christians, which I'm not like in that sense, but I think you should only be allowed to get married in church once, unless there's an extreme circumstance. Because
keep going. I'm all
yeah, because I just think to myself, well, not to try and say that Christians means you have to be perfect and all the rest of it, but if you're making a declaration and a promise to God under, in that house, where is I just think it loses it doing it a second time or a third time. And also don't think you should be allowed to get divorced in certain situations. But yeah, listen, that's another show, Char. Get me back.
No, that's a heavy one, because you're probably not the only person that thinks that. Just in terms of like, I totally get what you're saying. I don't know in the moment if I agree or disagree, but I totally get what you're saying. Basically, like the weight of the commitment has lost its value in front of the eyes of God and all that kind of stuff, and said it, and then the next time you're there, it's like, oh, you're back again. Almost. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I get the sentiment that you're saying. I'm not sure if I agree or disagree or not. It's one to think on. And
I do think as well that if you had the limit to marriages, there would be more successful ones.
Sorry, my auntie just said actually it's years 1, 7, and 14. They each bring their challenges. Like at present, we're at 31 years. That's my auntie Cynthia. 31 years of marriage. They are happy. Sometimes they're still happy. Sometimes it's like get a room, auntie and uncle. Like they're still like that. So.
But Craig, just going back to what you were saying, do you so then do you think, because it's actually a good point that you raised, do you think then you should be able to get married more than once in general? Because can you commit?
That was my other point. I think that there should be at least a limit. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be situations where, I don't know, someone might pass away or extreme circumstances. I haven't thought this through. I haven't put it on paper yet. But I do think there should at least be some sort of limit to the amount of times you could get married, because I think it would just bring more success.
I totally 100% get why you're saying all of this stuff. And I need to think about it, because that's pretty deep. He's basically like, I feel like what I'm getting from what you're saying, right, is that if you start putting caveats in for people, they'll start thinking before they do stupidness.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Exactly. Take it more seriously, because there are a lot of situations where people haven't done, like, I feel like a lot of people have got divorced that didn't need to. They need to just go through certain emotions and listen to each other. Equally though, after 13 years of marriage, I do also see that there are some people that should never have been together in the first place. You know what I mean? And it don't matter how Christian I want to call myself, I know that to be the truth. And I know what the Bible says and all that kind of stuff. I hate divorce and all the rest of it. But I do understand that people do get divorced, like it happens, and people do that. Like, I don't know, it's a real tough one, and it's hard to have
it's mad though, isn't it? Because you think about it, if someone's standing up in church for the third time saying this is the man of my life and blah blah blah, I'm thinking, I don't know if I believe you.
100%.
Not that it has to be me.
But no, literally, because I've had this conversation with my wife, and she was like, if anything ever happened, God forbid, like I'd want you to like try and find someone else. And I think like when I stood in front of God and witnesses and said, you're the person for me until death us do part, I meant it. Like, there is no divorce for me. There is no, and obviously I'm saying that now and things might change, whatever, but as far as I'm saying, I'm not going to ever get divorced. Like, I will not sign, I'm not signing that, and I'm never remarrying, because, do you know what I mean? If I lied then the first time. It wasn't what I thought it was. Like, the vow.
Sorry, that mindset helped me a lot at the beginning of my marriage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that mindset of like, I have no B plan.
There is none.
So I can't afford to do anything that's going to screw it up. That's what helped me a lot of the times when I was in a club in Northamptonshire, or like, do you know what I mean? All them kind of. Shard, that's out. She left.
Kick that.
That mindset helped me a lot.
So man, then just carry on, do your together.
That mindset helped me a lot to be like really measured about the decisions I was making, where I thought, like, I take this really seriously and I have no B plan. So I said to myself, there's nothing that you could do that's going to make me want to divorce you. And that is even a mazza for the other person to hear, because they now have decisions to make about what they do, because someone can take that information and run with it and be like, well, like, I'm going ham with that information. If there's nothing I can do that's going to make you go, then I'm going to do my thing, you know what I mean? So it's also a different level of trust with the other person, giving them that information. But imagine if you said to your wife, if you do this, I'm leaving you, you know? How kind of free is the other person? How free do they feel to be in that marriage by choice? Because even though we've said the vows and we know that we've committed to each other, you make a choice every day to stay married, because you can get divorced. You really can. You know what I mean? So like, that mindset really did help me at the beginning. But I do know that it gets gets a lot deeper than that. So while I still have that mindset, it's like my view is definitely kind of open.
When it got, so I'm just getting some nuggets here. So when it changed, or when it got harder, what did you do? How did you maintain that focus to say, actually, even though I felt this way, and if I'm never gonna get divorced, but right now I'm looking at you hella mad, and do you know what I mean, I'm getting stressed out, like, I want to bounce. Like, how did you center that and be like, actually, no? Do you know what I mean? This is what I've promised.
Asking, I don't know if it's anything tangible I can say. Just that mentality. When you have a certain mentality, then it kind of becomes reality. And I said to myself, there's actually nothing you could do. Do you know what I mean? So then that helps you contextualize whatever it is and bring it to the fore, and then you're able to talk about it. That's do you know what I mean? At least have the conversation and not be close to a conversation about whatever it is or was or anything like that. I hope Char's all right, because she hasn't.
Yeah, I know she's kind of still missing, but this is helping me. So,
yeah, open communication, man.
Yeah,
just growth. Like, that's what's mainly kind of helped me, is that I used to internalize a lot and have stuff just going through my head. Someone put it on there. There was a question or a comment that said about therapy. You know, married couples should go to therapy and all of those sort of things. And whilst we maybe haven't gone to therapy, still seeking counsel through people, I think is very, very important. And certain time, you said, how would you know? Certain time, you just got to be talking to yourself constantly. You have to kind of check yourself, like, look at everything that I've built, look at everything that I've got here, like, and you can just have a quick look around. Her mouth might be open while she's sleeping and all of that, but you have a quick look around. I just got the look as well. You just have a quick look around and think, yeah, you know what? I know why I'm in this. I know why I do this, and yeah, man, just kind of put yourself back on track.
100%. Agreed. That's one thing I've definitely done. Like, in times when I've felt like compromised, I've literally, I can point to at least 10 times I've asked myself, is that really worth it? And the answer's always been no. And then that was enough for me to just walk away, or like not continue, or not entertain whatever it is. Like, is that really worth it? You know what I mean? And just staying awake, man. Like, yeah, like staying awake, because you can get into just a flow and just a rhythm where like, you're just kind of coasting, and before you know it, like someone said something about, oh, but people grow apart. Like that's kind of a conscious decision sometimes, like when you kind of falling asleep. Like, remember the example I gave of the CEO that is like kidding himself. He's helping family by working from 5 till 10, telling him that you're neglecting me. Like, no matter how much money he's bringing in, he's kidding himself that it's for his family, because his family is telling him we don't need that. So you can coast in that, driving Mercedes Benz and all the rest of it, bringing home the money. After a while, you're gonna grow apart, and that was a conscious decision to grow apart because you were being told and you were being informed. You know what I mean? But anyway,
I think anyone who's in a
back, yeah.
Go on. Sorry, because I'll just chat away. Go on, man.
Yeah, no, EE was being a hater, locked me off. I thought everything was gone. I didn't even know you guys were still here. So I'm glad you are. I have one more question. I mean, I think this conversation can go on for a while. Like, I feel like I need just to put you guys in a room and just, have some, Anyway,
you the veterans in the
so where am I? Right. What would life look like? What do you think life would look like now if you were single? What do you think you'd be doing for work? Where do you think you'd be living? Like, what do you think your life would look like?
That's crazy.
I need a toilet.
Yeah, one of you guys go for it, because you know what my answer is. I just can't imagine life without my wife. I'm sorry, guys. I have to take the R&B bars before someone else used them.
you know, Effs would have done that.
No, it is hard for me to picture anything without that. I've got to put some thought into that.
I mean, it's not as difficult for me to think about what it would be like, because I was single. Well, not single, but I was thinking I was going to be single. I think I'd definitely still be singing, still doing music. I think I would. I don't think I'd have any kids, because I haven't up till now. But I don't know. Like, I think at some point I'd probably. I think I wouldn't want to do like a co-parenting. So I don't think I would ever have. I just think I'd be single on my own. I think I'd be living in London still, but I think I'd probably be at Dom's. Shout out Jean-Louis. I see him in the chat.
Yeah.
I'd probably be at my best friend's. Just
chilling. Could you even imagine? Because it's been a long time.
No, very much like Craig. I actually can't imagine being without Steph, to be fair. And what that looks like, and then it brings into like the kids and all of that kind of stuff. But I have thought about that question before, like, what would it be like if if I was single? And you know what? I think that the stuff I've been through and being married and that has helped me be the person I am now, because I think I might be. Steph doesn't actually agree with this, but I think I might be a fiend, just like, you know what I mean? Like, just move it. And I think more than that, actually, I think I might have been more of just an idiot, wrapped up thinking that I'm something else. That's what I think.
If you were like in the industry doing what you do, like touring with all these big artists, whatever, around the world, if you were doing that, you'd be just doing a madness. You'd be just.
But I would be doing that. Just that thing. I would still be in the music industry doing all that kind of stuff. And that's the thing. I'm not. I don't know. I really don't know. But I do think that I've learned a lot from having to compromise and take responsibility and all that kind of stuff, and it's helped shape me like the way I think. And if I hadn't been married and been through the stuff I've been through, I think I would be a little bit of a prick, if I'm honest.
I should be one of them.
It's mad, because when I think about it, At my time being single, I'm trying to think now because we've gone through a period. Whilst we've been married for 8 years, we've got a 17-year-old son. So we've gone through a period where I have been single. But what ended up happening is I just kind of I was just there all the time, and I just one day just didn't go home, pretty much. So it would have probably just been on that same vibe because I'm always going to be around my kids and wherever my children are situated. So yeah, but just in terms of work and whatnot, I don't think anything would be any different. My pockets would definitely be heavier because I have my family, but they ain't cheap. So you know, that would be good. But yeah, apart from that, yeah, same thing.
Okay, well, we've done a good 2 hours. That's really good. Before we have closing words, we've got Jean-Louis coming from Facts. He's actually, I forgot what his job is, but he knows a lot of stuff. The main causes for divorce in 2004 were adultery, extramarital sex. Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, listen.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's all category. Yeah, that's in the same category. Yeah.
Infidelity. Okay, 27%. Domestic violence, 17%. Midlife crisis, 13%. How do you even define a midlife crisis anyway? 13% addictions, workaholism, other factors. I don't know what other factors are, but
yeah, it's more than everything else.
31%. The most thing is other.
Yeah, other like what? I think of I don't know if any of you watch EastEnders. How do I get this off? Sorry. And was an old couple, and the man secretly was dressing up as a woman.
Wow.
And he kept leaving little clues. So the woman, he was having an affair. When she kind of found out that there was this woman, and she thought the man was having an affair.
Oh snap! This is the graveyard man. The graveyard something. The funeral guy. Yeah.
Funeral parlor. Yeah.
And I see a clip of that story.
Found out that he was dressing up as a woman secretly. Like when she go out, he was this person that he created. This woman. It was nuts.
What is that?
No, it was EastEnders, but these things happen in real life. Yeah.
No, I know.
I mean,
I'm surprised EastEnders still comes on. I didn't know it still came on.
They had a break because of COVID, but they're back.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to have some last words for maybe if there's any men on here secretly watching, not commenting. I probably is. And like, what would maybe they're thinking about getting married? Maybe they're, playing with the idea. What would your last words be to them?
Oh, I'll say mine quickly. It's gonna sound like a warning. Like seriously consider it, innit? Seriously know what you're stepping up to. Don't just act off of pure emotion. Recognize that it's this is lifelong commitment. This is like getting a tattoo on your forehead. Are you sure you want to do this? And if you do, and that is 100% the right answer, then go into it wholeheartedly and ignore the peers around you. Don't take advice from people. It's like if I'm going to the gym or something, if you're morbidly obese, I'm not going to ask you how to get slim. You're not the one. So seek counsel from people in the know. And yeah, man, go into and enjoy, man. It's not people always kind of think, oh my goodness, man, like, oh, you got a ball and gym. Nah, man, enjoy. Because listen, there's plenty of laughter and happiness in my yard.
Enjoyment.
Yeah.
I would say, similar sort of thing. Like, make sure you're 100%, but also if you're not, don't do it. Don't think, because I know some people get to like a later stage down, and then they sort of realize that actually I might be making a mistake. If you think you are, then address it and don't just go along with it anyway because you think such and such or whatever. Also, one thing we did very early on was seek counsel, and obviously as a Christian, we seeked out godly counsel. We didn't need counseling. I didn't, but I just always wanted. I think it's accountability, as well as accountability to the parents of the individual and stuff. Just someone else that's kind of a neutral that can kind of completely be in the middle and just see. Because a lot of the times with conversation or communication, you're saying something, but it's not being heard the way you think it is. And one thing that really helped us that was we found through counselling. And then I would also say, like, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, oh, we're married now, I have to do all this extra stuff. And do you know what I mean? Whatever got you to that point will carry you on. I think you still have to add to it, but the attitudes that you had towards each other, the way you spoke, and that, like, it's not like we get married and then all of a sudden we do everything perfectly. It's you're constantly always trying to develop as you go along to get to the marriage. Once you're there and you get married and you have that wonderful day, that's one day, but the next day you need to still be working on the things that got you up to that point. That would be my advice. Obviously.
Lord, I was thinking. All right, so I think I've got two. First bit is definitely like get therapy. Get therapy. I think in society these days, not enough people.
You think before you're trying to get married, get therapy?
Well, yeah, I think individually and together, if possible, get therapy, because like past traumas have such an effect on your future that you won't even see for 15 years. Wow. You're in it for 8 years. You know what I mean? And then there's a mazza happening and you're thinking, say, it's to do with you or not. It's nothing to do with you. It's from way before you even met the person. So it's like, and obviously that's a scary thing because you're bringing up stuff from under the dust. But at least if you know it's there, you can deal with it. And then you also know how people deal with adversity as well. So I think definitely if you can, get therapy. And after that, I agree with the guys, man. There's like, just make sure, like, I love what Craig said, like a tattoo on your forehead. Like, it's not something that you do lightly. So, like, make sure. But once you're sure, 100% decision you will ever make. 100%.
I don't regret anything at all. I don't regret 1 second of anything. So
that is very reassuring, very beautiful, and I love it. I want to thank you guys for spending a whole 2 hours with me. Thank your wives for lending you to my show for 2 hours as well. I've had fun. I've learned a lot. There's I know there's definitely one guy in here who's about to get married, and he was like, "Oh, thanks, guys." So that was really nice.
People saying they want part 2.
I'm seeing people saying they want to hear from the wives. I have done one with wives before, but it was on Instagram and it was 1 by 1. Like I've had Ayce's wife on before, actually talking about being a wife in the 20th century. But yeah, I mean, I'm up for it. I love to check in with the wives to see if they're up for it, because it would be nice to have a conversation together, see all the differences and stuff like that. That would be really cool.
Everyone's gonna take notes.
See me in the background, like, what's going on?
I know all the single girls are in here thinking, I need to know what makes these guys tick, like, you know. Trying to get a ring in that.
And hard dough bread.
Yeah, get therapy. Yeah, I think Jean-Louis, he's not a therapist, is he? What is he? He's a
psychologist, but yeah, he does do that. He not like he's a good person to have. Like, even when I. Like, sorry, just carrying on, but because it's Dom's my best friend's older brother, and he's very challenging, and sometimes he say stuff, and he like the other day we were talking, and he said, like, we were talking about anger management and like how you sort of deal with trauma and stuff like that, and his analogy gave about a mixture of all these chemicals in a bucket, and when the lid comes up, you don't know when the lid's going to come off or what's in there. Even you don't know what's in there. So you need to, therapy and stuff like that, it addresses everything that's in the bucket. So even though when the lid comes off, it explodes, at least you know what's going to come out. It's that when you don't address it, when the lid comes off, you don't know what's going on and you don't know when it's going to come off. It just comes off and it's doing a madness. So the therapy and talking to someone helps you to know when to relieve the pressure and not, and also what is in there that could possibly come out. So it's just good. He's a good guy, man. Good advice. That
lid can be what's stopping. You know, when you see people that are clearly not okay, like, mentally not okay, and you wonder what was it that just. I mean, I'm sure they were fine at one point, and then
they don't know. They never know. It's just it's the pressure, the mental pressure just built up over that time. Sometimes it can be someone slamming your finger on the door, you tripping up a curb, and that's the final
straw.
Stress that just.
They're therapy people.
Seriously, honestly, and a lot, especially as black men and as the black community, it's like as soon as you mention therapy, counselling, something has to be wrong, or oh wow, like people look at you. But it's not that. Like literally, there's so many things that go on in your mind and in the world that affect you. That, like Ayce said before, sometimes you're unhappy, you don't even know. And it's when you sit down with those people and they start to sort of prod and pry and take things off and peel things away and ask you difficult questions that you start to address yourself and look at yourself in the mirror. Actually, I'm sad, or actually, I'm very, very angry. I don't even know why. So yeah, it's definitely. 100%, I'd say that without a shadow of a doubt, do that.
Well, that's it. I'll probably do another one on mental health. And my very first show was about mental health. But yeah, I'll definitely do another one of those as well. So thank you for everyone in the comments. You were great, and added a little fire to the conversation and stuff. I had a really good time with you all. And I'm going to sign out. We've been on for just over an hour. 2 hours, I should say. So yeah, I'll see everybody next week with what.
If anyone wants some marriage tips, at me, yeah.
Listen, make sure